Alrighty. All right, good afternoon, Central Texas. I'm going to do a quick weather update over the next 15 minutes or so. Primarily talking about our chance for precipitation, but I'll start with right now and go from there, get you through the next couple of days. Thanks for tuning in. We're here on 6 Plus as well as Facebook and YouTube as well. So good afternoon, you guys. It is 12:20. Cloudy skies in place. We have a little more moisture than we thought we would earlier today. Now, no precipitation on radar quite yet, but we were thinking partly cloudy skies. It's kind of been overcast across most of the viewing area this morning. 29 degrees below the freezing point and feeling like 20. So we'll see here when we hop up into the 30s just how high we get, but only going to top out a few above where we're situated right now temperature wise today. Just extremely cold, you guys. It's that blustery cold where the winds are up at times and just don't want to be outside today if you don't have to. Current feels like temperatures lower 20s and even teens for some of our counties. As you can see, feeling like 26 winds out of the east in Cameron, about 10 miles an hour, 16 though in Goldthwaite and Hamilton. So very cold conditions out there. Nothing is going to change about that. I'm going to slow down here in a second, but quickly touching on current radar. As you can see, most of the state is nice and dry for right now. I turned off cloud cover imagery so you can't see the clouds on here. But obviously no precipitation for most of the state quite yet. Now, different story up in Amarillo and the Panhandle. I've been seeing on social media because I used to live in Lubbock for a long time. They've got quite a bit of snow on the ground actually, and from Lubbock to Amarillo and north of there as well. And they've got more snow falling to the north of there. More interesting stuff right here, as you could see, coming on shore right now is some light precipitation. Could be transitioning over to a mix and or snow there. They're likely in the middle 30s right now, and that is north of Corpus Christi. Very unusual situation south of San Antonio to see wintry precipitation. So I'll talk more about that when we're looking at futurecast because it's going to be quite the system for the Houston metro and surrounding areas between basically now and tomorrow at this time. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get to showing you the futurecast model. So I'm going to show you two different models. They're both the more short-term, high-resolution, better models than what we've been looking at until basically yesterday is when these kicked in. But for right now, we're nice and dry. Our chance for precipitation doesn't begin until early evening today. You can see by 5, 6 o'clock. You're getting off of work, or maybe you're just at home today because it is a holiday. This is when the chance for precipitation starts. So we are likely going to be in the middle 30s or right around the freezing point, depending on where you're at. So this could be a very light, cold rainfall initially, especially right around when the sun is going down and we still have a little bit more heat. We could just be a little bit above freezing and not seeing it transitioning over to a mix or snow quite yet. So that's initially. And again, that window being like 5 to 7 p.m. And then the whole area is going to be below freezing after that. Once the sun goes down, we quickly dip below freezing, and then we're seeing it start to transition over to sleet and or snow after that. This model, for some reason, over the past day has really been wanting it to be a mix. I think it's primarily going to be a very light, dry type of snowfall. And when I talk about snowfall being dry versus a thick, heavy, wet snowfall, the thick, heavy, wet kind is going to cause more issues out on the roadways and things of that nature. It's thicker. The dry snowfall can be pellets, or it can just be where it hits the ground and it doesn't stick as much. It's not as slushy and things of that nature. So the dry snowfall is actually better for our roadways and conditions as we head on into tomorrow morning. But as you can see, a lot of us are dipping just below 30 degrees by midnight. There's going to be an uptick. This is our primary window. It's going to be about midnight tonight. increasing on radar in terms of any snow that could be falling between basically midnight and about 6 a.m. That's our primary window when we're all asleep tonight. So notice this timestamp here. That was midnight. This is 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It's already starting to clear I-35 by then. Could have some lingering snow showers, and this is when the bulk of anything that actually stays and sticks on the ground is going to occur. It's after midnight tonight. And of course, you've probably heard by now, the further southeast that you go, the better chance that you are going to see it stick, you know, an inch or two on the ground type of thing. Snow banding is another thing that you may not be familiar with that can occur. That's when widespread area totals could be, I'll give you an example, like 1.5 inches from Cameron Hearn to College Station tonight. But there could be a town or two in there that get 3.5 or 4 inches, and everyone else got a little bit less. You see this with thunderstorms where you can see bands form, and it's training going over the same area over and over. They just get heavier precipitation. It isn't where this whole area is only going to get 1 inch. There could be a couple of areas that get a little bit more and a couple of areas that get a little bit less. So it'll be interesting to see if banding starts to happen or not in the overnight hours tonight, and especially into very early tomorrow morning. As you can see, it could go as far north as potentially Coryell and McLennan counties. I think our northwestern counties are clear to go on this, not going to have issues with this system at this point. None of the models are showing me that it's going to go that far north. But Waco, you're not out of the picture. It's just between you, Cameron Hearn, Bryan College Station, the Brazos Valley. They look much more likely and have for several days at this point to see the accumulations on the ground. Bell County, especially the further southeast that you go, and then of course off towards Austin. Would not recommend travel to Austin or Houston or San Antonio between now and probably about 2 days from now, because they just don't have the infrastructure in place. Obviously, they don't get snow very often. So in terms of their roadways, not only do they have more hills, they just don't have anyone cleaning it up, essentially. Let's fast forward again. This is right around when everyone is waking up tomorrow. I think there's going to be a lot of school delays, basically where I'm pointing right here. So especially east of I-35, all of our southeastern counties, there's already been some cancellations, such as Bryan College Station. I know Jarrell is canceled tomorrow. Georgetown, pointing south, all of AISD, probably San Antonio, and definitely off towards Houston. All those schools have at least canceled for tomorrow, and some of them have already canceled for Wednesday as well, as there just simply won't be a lot of time for the snow to melt tomorrow between then and Wednesday morning. We roll into mid-morning, and a lot of us are done with the precipitation already, especially if you are along or west of I-35. It is ending by then from west to east. The Brazos Valley may still see some light snow showers mid-morning to early afternoon, but most models are showing me by noon tomorrow we are cleared out and done, and it is down by Houston and then leaving there very quickly tomorrow afternoon. As you can see on Wednesday, we're nice and clear. Winds are going to be up, and we are well above freezing at that point. So I'm going to show you a second model now. This is a graph, and it's just another shorter term model that we get access to a couple of days out. And sometimes it can be almost identical to the HRRR, which is the one I just showed you, that probably performs the best, typically does. This one can be very similar, or it can show something completely different. I say it's kind of in the middle right now. Time frame at this point we have nailed down. So late this afternoon, about 5 o'clock, likely there are some very light showers moving in. At that point, we're going to be very close to the freezing point. We know that already. The question being, how much is going to move in initially between that 5 p.m. and midnight time frame? This model is showing a little bit less than the other one was. And this is actually bringing it further north into McLennan County, so that'll be interesting to see if it ends up going that far north or not. There's still a chance that all of our northern counties could completely miss out on this precipitation, because it's mainly going to be southeast, but all models agreeing that the Brazos Valley down to Houston are going to get the brunt of this system rather than the rest of our viewing area. You can see by midnight, probably this is when we're starting to see things stick to the ground for the most part. For areas that are going to see it stick whatsoever, potentially could get upwards of 2 inches. And then, of course, I already mentioned the snow banding that can occur if you're just tuning in. That is when there are just maybe a town or two, for example, that get a little bit more. It could even be a couple of inches more than everybody else, you know, their neighbors and whatnot. You see that. It's not just a widespread 1-inch situation. So especially down College Station to Houston, wouldn't be surprised if we see some banding going on late tonight, early tomorrow morning. So a lot of it is going to be situated to the east of I-35. We've known that for several days at this point. But if we start with a light snowfall this evening, for example, for Bell County, and then it continues for several hours, yeah, we could see it sticking to the ground. It's just not going to be a whole lot, you guys. You're not going to wake up and go outside and have it be several inches. That's very unlikely at this point. Now, it could be a different situation down towards the Houston metro. They actually look to be getting the highest totals down towards that direction, but wouldn't be surprised if College Station ends up with a few inches. I mean, both of these models are showing it snowing there, pretty solid snow for numerous hours tonight into tomorrow morning. Let's fast forward again. This one kind of wants it to linger a little bit longer than the other model into tomorrow morning, at least for the accumulation still occurring. The other model that I showed you, it was much more isolated tomorrow morning, and this one still has it blanketing just to the south and southeast of our viewing area and in the Brazos Valley, and then clearing out basically mid-morning, early afternoon. As you can see, College Station not out of the woods yet when they're all waking up, but again, a lot of them have things canceled because they just don't have the infrastructure in place. They don't get snow oftentimes there towards Houston. So you're going to see a lot of cancellations. In fact, Houston's airport is closed for 2 days. I think that kicks in at midnight tonight. You can see that this model agrees with the other one in terms of the general timing of the system, that it is going to clear out by early tomorrow afternoon. And then it is going to cause all sorts of issues for Louisiana and other places as well, if you didn't know that. It could even snow in New Orleans quite a bit. Pretty rare. Okay, so I'm going to recap things here just because there's people who may have just tuned in. Timing on the wintry precipitation is going to begin late afternoon, early evening for our portion of Texas. Now, I just showed you current radar, and I'll go back to that and do a little recap one more time for people who did tune in a little bit late. But for the most part, it's going to be this evening moving into our viewing area, isolated and then scattered. What I think is going to be snow showers by that point, because initially we may be slightly above freezing, but very quickly the sun goes down this evening in the 6 o'clock hour, and we're not above the freezing mark by then. And then it's ending by lunch tomorrow. All models agree on that. Confident in the temperatures being below freezing for sure. I mean, we'll dip down into the low 20s again for tonight and then right back up into the low 30s once the sun's up tomorrow morning. But for the most part, because of the timing on this event, I do think we will see snow showers in the viewing area in the overnight hours tonight. It will be below 32 degrees. Southeast counties up to around 2 inches. And again, there could be banding where there's a couple of locations getting higher amounts. Central counties up to an inch. A lot of you may only get a dusting, and some folks may get around an inch. And again, banding can occur. So this isn't just going to be a widespread, we're definitely get an inch type of thing. Our northern and northwestern counties, probably even less than that. Now, you could see flurries as early as this evening, and then maybe a little bit of a dusting, but not anticipating for any widespread travel impacts. And again, this is a dry snow that's going to be forming. I'm going to go to the 7-day and then step off, and I'll start back over with radar just for anyone who did tune in late and just do a quicker recap than what I just did. But again, weather impact alert, that is primarily for tonight into tomorrow morning. We're taking it through Wednesday morning just because anything that does stick to the ground, tomorrow we're only going to top out in the 30s, and then we'll be right back down into the teens Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And of course, we could have some slick roadways on Wednesday. I know there's some schools that are going to be canceled then, primarily. Again, that's the southeastern counties. And we do post school cancellations to our website, by the way, for anyone that is wondering where they can look that up. So again, really quickly, I am going to start back over with radar. We're at like 29 degrees right now, by the way, for anyone that was wondering. Most of the state, no precipitation for right now. It is 12:33, by the way. You could see up in the Panhandle to the north of Amarillo. I've seen some videos there this morning. They've got snow on the ground from a few days ago over the weekend. I know it snowed in Lubbock. They had some light snow showers this morning. More interesting stuff right here is it just on shore is some light snow showers potentially starting to transition over anyway. They're sitting in the 30s, so just probably a couple of degrees warmer than we are. They usually are. But already seeing some precipitation well to the south of San Antonio that is starting to creep up to the north towards the San Antonio metro here early afternoon. So when's it going to reach central Texas? Likely by 6, 7 o'clock. You're sitting down having dinner, going to bed. Could see a little bit of light rainfall initially just because we will still be in the middle 30s, most of the viewing area by then. Brazos Valley could be in the upper 30s because that's where they're topping out this afternoon. You can see our northwestern counties, for the most part, are going to stay dry during most of this system. Let's fast forward to midnight, and as you can see, there's just going to be scattered showers. I think it is transitioning over to snow by then because we're simply going to be down into the 20s temperature-wise. You can see more precipitation to the east of I-35 than anywhere else across the viewing area in the overnight hours. It's just going to be snow at this point because we're going to be in the mid-20s. This event is going to peak early tomorrow morning while we're all still asleep between, I would say, about 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And again, could be our central counties. This is your best shot is going to be that 2, 3 in the morning to about 6 in the morning is when it's looking like it is going to peak, and we could rack up a quick ½ an inch or an inch in some locations. Higher totals likely to be in the Brazos Valley and down towards Houston, where they could get 4 to 6 inches of snow, which is very irregular for those guys. So I know a lot of people in Houston that are excited about this system. They just don't get it very often. Starts to clear out by mid-morning, lunch, done. So again, the window for precipitation, most of which will be snow, is going to be right around 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon, this evening, peaking between midnight and 6 a.m. and out of here completely by lunch tomorrow. All models agree on that timing at this point, and we know that the bulk of the precipitation will fall when we are well below 32 degrees, which means it's mainly going to be a snow event. Second model agrees for the most part, especially with the timing on this precipitation and that it is primarily going to be a snow event. That's the blue color here behind me. Starting around 10 o'clock, this model starts to pull in, especially east of I-35, some scattered snow showers. It is going to peak between about midnight and 6 a.m. This model agrees with the other one, which means we have a pretty high confidence that in our temperatures at this point, everything is agreeing that it's going to be below 32 degrees, but also that it's primarily going to be in east of I-35 or maybe right around the I-35 corridor and then pointing east. At this point, it looks like that's going to be the situation tonight. So our western county's just not going to get much out of this. Waco, it's very questionable at this point. You could get clipped, but the majority is going to be down in the Brazos Valley. Fast forward tomorrow morning, you can see folks are waking up still primarily to the south of our viewing area. Brazos Valley is where it's starting to clear out to as you're waking up tomorrow morning, and the second model agrees. By mid-morning, it's College Station to Houston, so outside of our viewing area and out of here by lunch, our precipitation chance will have ended by lunch. Both models show that at this point. So the timing would be late afternoon, early evening. We all go to bed. The bulk of the precipitation would be midnight to 6 a.m. and then clearing out after that from west to east. Confidence in the temperatures to be low 20s to low 30s. For the bulk of that precipitation falling could initially start out as very cold rain later this afternoon, but very quickly once the sun goes down would primarily be isolated to scattered snow showers in the overnight hours because we'll be below freezing. Southeastern counties in the Brazos Valley up to around 2, maybe even some bands that give you 3, 4 inches. So hoping that for you guys. Most of our counties, our central counties, especially along I-35, could get an inch or you could only get a dusting. It's going to depend where those bands start to develop and just how far north the precipitation can come. So we'll have to wait it out and see what radar looks like. But we have a pretty good idea that there will be some snow falling tonight for sure at this point. The higher totals to the southeast. It clears out by lunchtime tomorrow. We are done. A lot of us are done with this precipitation as you're waking up tomorrow morning, to be honest with you. I do think there's going to be more and more school delays as we hone on into this evening. As you can see, roads can refreeze. We'll be at like 18 or 19 degrees tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. So I think Wednesday morning we'll keep the weather impact alert just because there will still be some slick roadways, especially again to the southeast. But thanks for tuning in. If you're on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment. I will check that really quick, and then we'll have another early afternoon update, probably between 2 and 3 o'clock. I know Matt will be here by then. But you guys stay safe and warm.